Oh, it looks like it's actually going through now.
Oh, it's streaming. Okay, go for it.
Are we actually live?
I don't know. Is anybody
Yes.
verified?
Yes.
We are. As I froze enough on screen again.
Let's see if this crashes.
Yeah, no, it's working.
Is it coming up on screen? Is anybody? It's not on mine. It says it's waiting.
Oh, it also did say give it like a full minute to like
Oh, okay.
go through.
Yeah.
Okay, you're live.
Oh, it also did say give it like a full minute to like.
Alright, there we go.
Is like the webcam moving and everything also?
Yep.
Okay, because it's not on your screen. So my name is William Bennett. I am the president here at the local SIGGRAPH chapter, student chapter here at the University of Tulsa. This is an info session for the Computer Simulation and Gaming Conference. And as we go on, Ms. Akram Tagavi-Burris will come and explain some guidelines and everything for this next year.
All right. So we'll go ahead and get started. So the Computer Simulation and Gaming Conference, many of you may have been aware of Heartland. Is it still moving? Okay. Many of you may have been familiar with the Heartland Gaming Expo that we've had for the past 7 years, but we have now updated it and made a few changes, and we wanted to share those changes and allow you all to ask questions and provide your thoughts and just an open discussion about all the changes, what we should do, how should we go about it, and what is new. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the new website for the CSGC conference. So the website has new competitions and a new format. The first thing that we have going on is that the event is now a 2-day event that includes a conference on one day and a competition day on the second day. So the event is scheduled, if we go down here, for April 12th and the 13th. And basically, the 12th is the Friday, and that is our conference day. So we're going to have our speakers, our presenters, hands-on demos, activities on the conference day of the event. The 13th, which is a Saturday, will be our competition day. And it's more of an exhibition of the competition. We'll have exhibitors, we'll have all the competitors showing off their works and exhibiting all the information that they've provided for the different competitions. Along with that, we have new competitions, new categories, and new requirements. So we've broken out the competitions into upper categories such as simulation and graphics and game development and design. So if we go to game development and design, did we just lose internet? Well, we'll
swap between TU wireless and TU WPA.
Well, we might end up losing our live stream. Well, under the game development and design is the previous competitions that we've always had. We have our game development showcase that included full games built a functioning level that was developed and fully brought to the showcase. The design or the game design gallery featured works in progress. So we had a category for game design, which is for anything where you have a conceptual idea that you want to share. Maybe you have some working sketches and some layout, but you don't have a game in production yet. We also had game animations, which were more or less animation renderings for games. We also had concept art and scoring, which was music for games. So again, we're looking at elements for a game. And so all of these were related to the game development part of the competitions. This year we have new competitions under the simulation and graphics categories, which include our animation festival. The animation festival will include shorts within 30 seconds, I believe to 5 minutes is the limit. Let me see if I can pull this. Can we try to pull it up? We'll attempt it. No, it's not going to load the...
Is the live stream still active?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do something crazy. We'll try to change our okay, it says it's connected.
No, the wireless doesn't always work as, you can try it.
I mean, the stream's still up.
The stream's still up?
Yes.
Well, that's good. Oh, okay, here we go.
All right.
All right, so the simulation and graphics features our new competitions this year. The first one is our computer animation one. And again, here, okay, so it is a requirement of 2 full minutes of an animation up to 10 minutes. And this does not include your end credits or title sequence. So these are animations of variety. They have to be a narrative animation, meaning they must tell a story of some kind. So it can't be just an artistic type of animation. Now, if you do have artwork developed by the computer, because this is again the Computer Simulation and Gaming Conference, any kind of digital art, whether it is a digital photography or art done on the computer, illustrations, paintings, these can be submitted to our new digital art show competition. Now, you can use some traditional arts in these entries, but 90% of the work must be done digitally somehow or another. And besides the digital art show, another new category we have is the Computer Simulation Showcase. So the Computer Simulation Showcase is meant to provide people creating computer simulations for more practical application, from engineering assemblies to architectural walkthroughs. These types of animations that don't necessarily have a narrative, but they provide a practical application of how things are to work, can also be submitted to the competition under the simulation category. There are new requirements for these competitions as well as our previous competitions, such as the Game Development Showcase. All of these are featured on the website. And the main thing to keep in mind with these are that all the entries for the competitions are going to be due April 7th. That is 1 week before the actual event. This is to allow our judges time to properly judge all the submissions. And with the amount of different categories we have, we wanted to provide enough time for everybody to get properly evaluated by our judges. So that's the big thing. In many of the competitions, we are also requiring a game proposal video or a proposal video. This is a 3 to 5 minute video that quickly explains what your game is about. This is going to provide judges an overview for evaluating your game, since they don't have the competitors right in front of them while evaluating prior to the event. And so these proposal videos, like I said, are 3 to 5 minutes. They should include a premise of what the game is about, include who your target market is, any unique game features or selling points, a overview of the game, show some screen grabs of the game. If you're submitting for the concept art or for the game design, again, provide some visuals as to what the game might look like or how it would be played. Who is in your development team? So who is part of this competitor team? You know, who are the members and what are their roles? Then the project summary, just kind of summarize it up one more time for the judges. Now these videos will be submitted with your competition entry as a YouTube link. So we are asking you all to make these public videos that are on YouTube that we can access, and with anything that you enter in the competition or add to social media about the event, we are asking you to use the hashtag CSGC 2019 so that we can find these, just in case the link wasn't entered correctly. We can still do a search with the tags. But again, all this information is on the website. Before we kind of transition on to our next bit here, are there any questions from our audience? And I want to, again, thank the audience for showing up today. We're glad that you could come out and ask questions about this upcoming event. Any?
What's the YouTube info for the?
With the YouTube info?
Yeah, are we live streaming?
We are live streaming this event. You can go to our YouTube channel, which is CSGC Conf. If I go to our link here, right here, it's Computer Simulation and Gaming Conference. We do encourage people to tune in to our YouTube channel. We've been posting different things throughout the year, as well as information on our events, and we will be posting all the entry submissions as a playlist as well. So once the competition is going on, we'll have all that out there on our YouTube channel. So be sure to link to our YouTube channel. We are on social media on Facebook and Twitter as CSGC Conf, C-O-N-F. So you can look us up there as well. Any other questions?
So, since this is a school-sponsored event and is a direct competition in relation to certain majors, will there be any scholarships or grants rewarded for participation, or?
We are working on that. The administration does not necessarily have anything to do with the event itself. So the event is mainly organized by our TU CGRAPH chapter as a student activities event, so it's not recognized as a university event as of yet, technically. So we're working towards that, and the more participation that we can get is obviously helpful. Also, we do have a sponsors page, so a lot of this event is funded by our sponsors, and so the prizes and awards that we give out is primarily given thanks to the donations of our many sponsors, whose names and banners will be eventually on our sidebar here as they start to roll in. But that's a good question. Any other questions, comments, thoughts?
What kind of awards are we doing for the game development competition? Like what categories do we know?
Well, all the competitions will get awards. We'll have first, second, and third place. But the actual award prizes as to what we're giving away.
Like best in show.
You mean the categories?
Yeah.
I believe we have the first, second, and third, and then best in category. Oh, and we have a public vote category as well. So people at the show, we'll have QR codes up that they can actually vote at the show. Yes.
How is best in category going to differ from first place?
Well, I think, okay, no, I take that back then. It's best in show is the public voting one. So it's first, second, third, and then a public voting one, yes.
And so for games that, because it's a space themed.
Yes, this year's is a space theme event.
So if you were to submit one that didn't follow that theme, would you be
Okay, so
eligible
the
for
space
those
theme
categories,
does
or-
not actually really apply to anything that you enter except the Code Jam. So the Code Jam is a special competition where we give the criteria, 168 hours before. So we give it out a week before the deadline for the competition entries. So March 31st is when we will give out the details for that, and that will be relevant to the theme of the event. So anything else doesn't have to be space related. The theme of the event is more just for the atmosphere that we're having at the event and the conference, our signs, our looks, and things like that.
Okay, so if you're participating in one of the categories, do you have to do the Code Jam, or is that a side thing?
No, it's a side thing. So the Code Jam, each one of these competitions are independent of each other. So again, on the game development, we have the Game Development Showcase, which is a full-featured game. The Code Jam, which is a game that you and your team made 1 week before the submission deadline. The Gallery Showcase is the conceptual art, the animations, the sound design, or the game design, and you can pick which one of those areas your entry falls into. And then the other competitions are the Animation Festival, the Digital Art Show, and the Computer Simulation Showcase. So these are different categories altogether, and you can enter in as few or as many as you like. Any other questions? Great questions. So we actually have Sam Gurka, who is one of our previous participants and has been participating for the last 3 years and 4 years. And you want to come up and share some of your experience of what it's been like as a competitor?
Sure. So like she said, I'm Sam Gurka. I've participated in all through high school. My high school had a intro to game design course. The teacher was close relations with Dr. Mailer, who was the leader of this organization at the beginning. And most of what the expo was being social with the people that were coming by, talking to them, hyping them up for it, and then trying to convince them why you're the best. So when the judges would come by, they would come by randomly. There wasn't really a set order we could figure out. We would just have to hope we'd get as many as we could. What would happen was we'd talk to them. We would try to get them to like our personality because they could see the game. You know, the game was just 1 out of 10 other games that was there. We had to make them connect it somehow with us and convince them it was a good game. So that I'm actually glad that's not the case anymore now that we submitted online ahead of time, because it could be you could feel unfair even if it wasn't. So a lot of it was personality, like even with the people just walking around, you know, the little kids were the most important because they were the ones that would vote. So if you wanted people's choice, you had to talk to the little kids. You had to make them like it. So make sure you have a very playable demo of the game. Any questions?
It's like your overall experience participating in it. Was it a good experience? I mean, obviously you did it 4 years in a row, so
it was fun.
I mean,
yeah, the experience was very fun each time. It could get a little draining just being there for 8 hours a day, especially since before we could just keep working on the game up until and through the expo. So we would be up like nights before it, just 72 hours straight doing it, then go straight to the expo. So that was draining, but it was fun overall.
thank
All right.
you.
I was
Yep.
gonna ask, so in your 4 years, you submitted 4 different things for the game development, so you had 4
Mhm.
different like working
Well,
prototypes.
my junior year, our game was almost the same as the one before, but we'd revamped the graphics, revamped a lot of the systems.
Yeah.
It wasn't raycast anymore. It was actual collision. So that was new. A lot of the physics were new.
So what kind of games did you?
So the first year, this was high school division. So
Yeah.
my entire class actually went. Everyone was in there broken up into own groups, and most of them didn't have working games. So we got 3rd place out of high school on the sake of having a working and functional game. So we had an advanced rollball tutorial kind of thing where you would have a 3D map. You'd have to use the rollball physics to sling yourself up ramps and then hit like target objects, and you'd collect as many points as you could. There was another game mode where you'd attack. There'd be 2 players, and you'd have to try to push the other off a platform. And I think there was another one that we called Glitch, where there's like a spinning randomized fan in the middle that would just go out in any angle and just try to push you off. And it was kind of like a timed event, see how long you could go. The next year we had something that was kind of like Galaga, but 3D is the way we pitched it. So it was top down. You'd have 2 cameras, one on one ship, one on the other. You'd have to traverse these dark maps, try to find each other and blow each other up. The next year we added boost functionality to that. We had like a stronger attack that would do more damage, that had a cooldown. And we had revamped the graphics and lighting a lot. Then my last year, we actually almost didn't go, because me and my partner were both working at the same place. And we had started on something, but we'd lost progress just through drive corruption. And we actually just had given up at that point until like 3 weeks before the event. We had found something he had started working on, and we just started grinding it as much as we could. The gameplay was kind of basic, but we really worked hard on the graphics and lighting, and that really impressed the judges, and it secured us first place. So.
Thank you.
All right.
We do have some individuals who've entered at the college level. Any of you want to do? You know, somebody submitted for game design. You want to? It was Will. How does it compare to having a functional game? Yeah.
So for game design compared to having a functional game design, the judges really want you to have something that's really well thought out. They want you to, like, if it has a narrative, you have to give the narrative. You have to give like what the gameplay would be, like how it would kind of work. Whereas a game, you already have all of that there that you can actually show them. Game design, a lot of the entries that I saw also had a lot of artwork that also went in with it.
Like poster boards and stuff, they had a lot of.
Yeah, like, so it wasn't like the concept art part, but like it was just the game design entries had concept art, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, no, that's how game design. I also submitted a VR game last year with my group that we were doing for a class. It was interesting to watch people and children who had never done like VR before, because it's still relatively new, and especially just like taking it out for a competition like that. There's some hurdles to get through, as in like they don't know what to do. So like if your buttons aren't correctly mapped to what you want it to do in the game, people can get really confused with that as well. So making sure if you're doing VR that everything is mapped correctly to make it kind of like really intuitive.
Okay. All right. So we'll try this again. Our screen's kind of not updating, so we'll get rid of that. But again, with what we've said in the past about the competition and the judging, we have a whole new format for judging. So to allow for more fairness, allow people more time, allow people to avoid that 72-hour grind right before the event. We want people to be at the event refreshed, ready to have fun, ready to be active, ready to participate. So all submission entries are due a week before the event this year. And this will give everybody time to rest before the event, but also a full week for our judges to really dig through the projects and to follow the rubrics as to how they're going to judge and everything. And how they're going to judge is actually on the website as well. So if we go to any one of these categories, well, we've been talking about the game development. If you scroll down, you can see that it has the judging criteria. So on this one, the judges are looking at 6 criteria, and then there's a 7th criteria of other, just in case some additional feature is noted in the game that wasn't part of the other areas. But we're looking about creativity is the big part of any of the judging that we do, and depending on the competition, we're looking at different things. In the game development showcase, game mechanics and gameplay are important. You know, do you have a functional game? Does it work well? Is there challenge? Is there an incentive for the player to play? Things like that. Versus if we go to a totally different competition under computer animation, for instance, if we look at their judging criteria, we're looking again at creativity, unique idea, but with the animation entries, we're looking at a narrative. Did it tell a story? You know, how were the visuals? Did it have audio with the visuals? And then for all of these is, you know, technical or technology. How well did the team show that they could use the software, the code, or whatever it may be, the skills that they have for developing this content. So these are all elements that the judges are looking for. Now, one thing to keep in mind is, just for the way this site is navigatable, is that under competitions you have your main entry or main levels of categories, but to get to any of the sub-levels you actually have to go to one of the top level pages. So to actually get to these three, you either go to this page, or once you're on this page, there is a side menu that has the individual competitions. So you need to kind of dig down into getting those informations there. And as well as the competitors' rules. So we have rules, just general rules for all competitors, no matter what competition you're in. These are more or less guidelines and rules about how to set up, how to submit, not the actual submission details of what we want you to submit. That is on the contest page. These are just more general rules for the day of the event and everything. So keep that in mind as you navigate through the site. So any other questions that anybody might want to know as far as participating in this event? Dun, dun, dun. We do have volunteers that are part of this event, and Courtney, why don't you come up here and talk about being a volunteer?
Sure.
Good.
I'll just go into a little bit. So for the volunteering part, you really just help set up like the booth, the posters, make sure everything's running smoothly, and then interact with competitors to make sure that they're all doing fine. Yeah.
Was it a good experience?
Yeah, it was really fun, and we all got to take a picture, and that's on the website somewhere, so yeah.
So how can they volunteer? They need to get in
They
contact
need
with-
to get involved with SIGGRAPH, and they probably should be SIGGRAPH members. But if you want to help, just like let us know, and we can take anyone, basically. Okay, thanks.
All right. So we are actually going to kind of wrap up as far as the Q&A. Did we have any questions in the chat? No? No. So we're going to kind of wrap up, but before we wrap up, we have a message from our CSGC president about our upcoming event that is going to help get you ready for CSGC. Yeah, grab the flyer.
So in January, on the 25th through 27th, the University of Tulsa SIGGRAPH chapter is going to be hosting the Global Game Jam. You can look up the Global Game Jam in Google, and it'll give you everything you need to know. But that is on the 25th to the 27th, and if you get a group there that you like, you can start your game there, you submit it there, but you could also keep working on it as time gets closer, and also submit it to CSGC.
So again, I'll just go ahead and pull up the Global Game Jam website so that you can...
I can't see that one.
Oh, they can't see that one. Haha. Here we go. Here we go. So the Global Game Jam is a international event. So everybody for 3 days in January work on a game for any type of project. It's a challenge to the gaming community to make a game in less than 3 days. And we will be hosting, like Will said, we will be hosting on January 25th through the 27th here at the University of Tulsa as part of our CSGC chapter. But any games made during the Global Game Jam can be submitted to CSGC. And you don't have to submit the exact same game. That can be just a starting point for you as you move on into development. So you can start there and continue working on it. You could just enter what you've got. Another great thing, we were talking about submitting entries every year. If you entered in Heartland in previous years and want to enter in CSGC, you can submit the same game. We want you to have refined that game and added to it and made improvements to it. So don't submit the exact same thing, but you can still submit the same game that has been updated and refined. So don't think you have to start from scratch every single year. If you're working on a game that's in continuous development, you can submit for that. And these competitions, including the Global Game Jam, everything is open to not just TU students, but high schools, college, as well as indie professionals and enthusiasts in the game developer community. So with that, I encourage you all to start looking into any of the events that we've talked about. If you have any further questions, we do have a contact form down at the bottom of our site that you could submit to. We are on social media. You can ask questions there if you need to, and we will respond as quickly as possible. We're also open to any ideas that you might have for improving, updating, or doing anything with the event. So again, thank everybody for coming. Question?
Will there be any shirts this year?
Will there be any shirts this year? This is a topic of debate. Unless we have donations for shirts, the question becomes whether we want the competitors to purchase shirts. If you have an opinion on whether you'd like to buy a shirt or whether you just want a free shirt, you can submit those on our Facebook group or on our social media, and then we're aiming to please, but we can only do what we can. So, thank you.